Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Fishing with Bottles. Today I'm down at Deer Lake. It's raining cats and koalas. I can't get nothing done, so figured I'd talk to you guys for a little bit. Today I wanted to talk about invasive species.
Yay!
That's not a good thing.
Boo! But Mr. Bottles, what's an invasive species?
For those who don't know what invasive species are, it's basically a plant, animal, organism, whatever, that tries to take over an area. Alright, I was going to make this video a while back, and honestly I just kind of forgot about it, and then I got this comment. That one. And yeah, I thought I'd address it because it's just his opinion, but that opinion is shared by a lot of people. I'm not trying to call this guy out. Honestly, I don't know him. I've never talked to him. He could be the nicest guy in the world. But I thought I would address it just because it is important, you know? A lot of people want to eradicate the bass population because they think it's going to have a negative impact on trout and salmon. And honestly, I don't know. It very well might. There are places where they coexist. But on the flip side of that, there's also people, I've read people saying things like, oh, bass don't even eat trout and salmon. That is 100% false. I'm going to try and be as fair as possible and just, I don't know. You got these guys saying this, these guys saying this. As the case often is, truth is somewhere in the middle, you know? So I've heard the argument that trout in the summertime tend to stay deep where the bass are feeding up shallow, so they don't really interact all that much. And then in the wintertime, the bass, they hang out low, and the trout are around cruising. There's a little truth to that, but a little. You know what I mean? Like, if a trout swims past a bass's mouth and its mouth is big enough to eat it, it might just slam it. Who knows? People say, oh, I've caught so many bass, I've never seen a trout or a salmon fry or, you know, hanging out of its mouth. It doesn't mean they don't eat them. If you go look, in particular, down south in the States, guys are throwing giant swim baits with trout patterns. Why are they doing that? Because big bass will eat big trouts, and they're trying to get a big old bass to bite. For real. Yeah, I'm at Deer Lake right now. I can tell you there's bass, there's crappie, there's sunfish, there's bullhead catfish, there's carp, there's goldfish. Like, the list goes on. There's a ton of non-native species in here. As I see it, here are the facts.
Fact 1.
Bass don't belong here. They are invasive. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that.
Fact 2.
They are not going anywhere. Doesn't matter. They've been shocked. They've been given that rotonono. They've been poisoned.
They poisoned them.
Still alive. Still doing just fine. Yeah, they knocked down the population for a little bit, but how long does it take before that rises back up? And every time they poison them and stuff, they're also taking out native species. So it's, you can't win. You can't win. They're not going anywhere. They upped the bass limits from 4 to 20. It's still not going to do much, to be honest. So a little bit of the history, and this could just be hogwash. Is that what the kids are saying these days? Hogwash? I heard that in the 1920s or 30s, the government actually stocked bass here. Not at Deer Lake, but in BC. I believe it was like on the island or something, and then maybe it was the Kootenays or the Okanagan or something like that. And then somehow, some way, they worked their way here. A lot of people are pointing their fingers at
The Bucket Brigade.
a bunch of people took buckets of bass and just started dumping them in local lakes, and they wanted to create the bass fishery. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I don't think they got here on their own. Some people say, you know, they took this river system to this river system and then worked their way up here. That sounds very unlikely to me, personally. I think most people know that you shouldn't be dumping fish where they don't belong. I think most people are aware of that. And when it comes to fish keepers, like people who have fish tanks and stuff, a lot of them seem to dump their stuff in the lakes. I shouldn't even say a lot. I think it's actually very few. but stupid people dump their fish that they don't want anymore in the lakes. You can give them to a pet store. You could try and sell the fish. There's other ways to get rid of them than dumping them into a lake, because that's going to screw up the system. So people also ask about eating bass. Are bass good eating? Yes and no. I've eaten bass, and when I had it, it was good. If you catch them in the springtime from a clean area, yeah, you can eat them. They're not bad. They occupy ponds and dirty lakes and stuff, and what happens is they end up getting a lot of parasites. They're prone to parasites because of the bodies of water that they occupy, right? So a scummy pond, you might be pulling bass out, they might look good, and then, oh, this has a big old abscess on it. You might take it home, cut it open, and, oh, it's full of worms, you know? So me personally, I don't eat a lot of bass. You guys watch my videos, you see I normally throw them back. But I don't know. It's up to you guys. You guys got to make that call on your own. When I've eaten it, it was good, but I only eat it at a certain time from clean bodies of water. You know, certain times of the year from clean bodies of water. When it's hot and those ponds are all scummy and stuff, don't eat those bass, people. Don't do it. It's not worth it. To get the focus off the bass here just for a minute, other invasives like crappie will eat salmon and trout fry too. Bullhead catfish will definitely be gorging on some eggs, as well as frying stuff, whatever they can get. And that's same with carp. Alright, I want to talk about carp for a minute, because carp also pose a huge threat to native wetlands, which affects, you know, our waterfowl and stuff like that, as well as the salmon and trout. They will eat a ton of eggs. These guys are big tanks. They will eat fry if they can. They'll eat anything, really. So I don't know, I'm hearing a lot of negatives about the bass. You don't really hear carp talked about too much. These are big fish, big fish. They go around uprooting plants, cause algae blooms and stuff like that, and they can be quite problematic too. But yeah, I'm not hearing a whole lot of people pointing fingers at the carp. Does that mean you gotta kill them all? Maybe. Maybe not, though. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just trying to open up a conversation with you guys, and I hope you guys will indulge me. Yeah, all of this is just my opinion. I'm gonna keep bass fishing. I'm gonna keep releasing the bass. Honestly, I don't think keeping them is gonna have much of an effect on the population. If you go to a lot of the places around here, it seems like the bass are stunted. Well, what happens when you start removing these smaller bass and stuff? Now you've made more space for those bass to flourish. They get bigger bass. They have more eggs, you know, they have bigger spawns. So is it counterproductive, or is it better to remove these fish? Honestly, I don't know. I'm just going to keep releasing them, and you can't do too much about it now. Like, the damage is already done, but I do enjoy bass fishing. I love it. Obviously, if you guys watch my videos, you know I love bass fishing. I love trout fishing. I love salmon. I love fishing for everything. So I really would like to hear you guys' opinions on what you guys think. Should we be removing bass? Should we leave them there? Honestly, I don't see it making a difference. But I don't know. Maybe one of you guys has an opinion or something that change mine or strengthen my opinion. I don't know. Alright, y'all, you can subscribe here if you haven't already. You can watch this video, you can watch this video, you can watch this video. Yeah, I guess get a haircut, wash your drawers, eat some blackberries. I'm out.